Today for Devotions with Daniella, we are reading White Women Get Ready, How Healing Post-Traumatic Mistress Syndrome Leads to Anti-Racist Change. Reading this for my own practice of deconstructing white supremacy. If you would like to join me, you can get copies attached here. This is a chapter called Naming Ourselves, and this is about the white woman ego. In between the Thanksgiving Day disaster and her mom's magical wedding, Kayla had reached out to me asking for help. Absolutely, I imitated her mom's modeling. Of course, what do you need? This was not the first time Kayla had asked me for writing and editing support, nor was it the first time I'd gone above and beyond to provide this type of support to others. As a white neurotypical person, or at least neuro-nonconforming, who had received the benefits of a formally educated family, I viewed my writing skills as something that didn't really belong to me. In many ways, they had been bought and valued through whiteness. Sharing them was a strategic way I could leverage my resources to support others in navigating one barrier of white middle-class institutions. It was an obvious way I could contribute to the cause. When she texted me to ask, I was away at a work training and was beyond exhausted. Our local youth organizing had just imploded in a big way. I was trying to keep tabs on its unraveling from afar, while still coming through with the daily requirements of my job and while spending all day at this obligatory training. Needless to say, my capacity for taking on more commitments was low. Besides, this was our first real interaction since the Thanksgiving blow-up, so it was not with the most genuine of intentions that I took the project on. Maybe this will help smooth things over. I may or may not have noticed my sneaky white lady ego. At least this was something I had to offer. Perhaps I overextended myself so she wouldn't abandon me. On some level, I must have realized how the skill sets I gained through my access to whiteness had created a need for me. Kayla was on a deadline, so I made her request a priority. I pushed through my exhaustion and stayed up late so she would have something to turn in the next day. I justified my decision as what an anti-racist white woman was supposed to do. Making self-sacrifices to help Black folks was part of the job. I reassured myself that I was living into my purpose. Even if the organizing is shiz at home, at least this was one win, though resentment had already started to seep in. There are layers to our internalized saviors. As good white people and good white women, we have been taught that we are so good at helping and that helping is so good. This teaches us that we have the right to help whomever, whenever, and however we choose. Because we have been given such far-reaching access to brown and Black communities by the institutions where we work, volunteer, and advise, we rarely need to consult with those we serve about how, or even if, our help should be offered. For most of my life, my white savior complex went uninterrogated by me. Helping, fixing, and saving others was a virtuous no-brainer. Of course, God wanted me to help save the world. I cringe now, but I remember in college speaking those exact words when asked what I wanted to do with my life. And even after I became aware of the white savior and moved into a paradigm of collective organizing and power shift, in my own drive for purpose, I can view my anti-racist organizing through a lens that centers the world's need for me. In moments of insecurity, when I'm most vulnerable to wanting external validation and a sense of belonging, my white lady ego sneaks through. Mostly, she's needed to be needed too. What's wrong with wanting to help, you may ask? Is wanting to help always wrong? When those questions come up for me, they usually surface because my white ladiness desperately wants to sidestep deeper reflection. Those questions usually have a quality of defensiveness because I want wanting to help to be righteous, at least some of the time. Those questions can provide a distraction because they tempt me to avoid taking responsibility. I defend my motives so I don't have to feel uncomfortable or make a change. Instead of getting stuck in that hamster wheel, I'm trying to refocus on questions that lead me into knowledge of myself and my motivations. How was I accultured into wanting to help, fix, and save? And why? And what is my relationship with those I want to help, fix, or save? What are the histories that established those relationship dynamics? Is there an invitation to help? How may I be imposing my ideas of what someone else wants? Perhaps the most revelatory questions for me have been, How do I feel when those I want to help, fix, and save aren't interested in my helping, fixing, and saving? What's my immediate, honest reaction? When do I overextend in my helping? When does it cause resentment? What can that resentment teach me? How do I sit and reflect in that moment and sort out where those thoughts and feelings originate? This last set of questions is powerful because even in my most seemingly inconsequential moments of helping, they reveal my true intentions. Imagine I offer you a second helping of food I made. You refuse it, and I'm taken aback by your refusal. In which case, my helping is not about a genuine offering of sharing what's available, but rather about propping up some sort of insecurity on my part. Maybe I'm unsure about my cooking. Maybe I'm worried about our relationship. Maybe I'm insecure about the choices I made regarding the ingredients or whether I accidentally poisoned you because of an unknown food allergy. Maybe I'm feeling guilty about something I said to you last week, year, decade, lifetime, and I am projecting my concern of your resentment onto every crevice of your body language. Because why else would you refuse this plate of my love? Whatever the reason, Sorry, the dogs are Republican. Whatever the reason, our interaction just downward spiraled from a simple offer of food to a moment about my insecurities, self-worth, and communication skills. I have transferred my insecurities onto you as I wait to see whether or not you will accept that second plate of food. Not only is this magnified insecurity psychologically draining, but it also impedes relationships, taking the focus off the needs, wants, and agency of the other person, to whom I was offering help, or in this case, seconds, ultimately undermining their self-determination. Rather than honoring the agency of the person I'm trying to support, rather than centering consent and mutual respect, I have shifted that focus right back onto me and my insecurities and feelings. White lady ego can be sneaky, but it also can be exhausting. Perhaps I stayed up all night to prepare the above referenced meal, whether or not you requested it. Or maybe, as in my dynamic with Kayla, you did request it. Either way, I suppressed my exhaustion, jumping at the opportunity to prioritize your request for a meal in order to reassure myself about my purpose and worth. Those insecurities come from somewhere. Baked into the trauma of mistress syndrome is an internalized gendered inferiority that has taught us to doubt, loathe, control, and constantly second guess and fear ourselves. Rather than channel our internalized gendered inferiority into our collective liberation, we find our energy diverted into helping, fixing, and saving others so we feel powerful and justified. The white savior complex allows us to redirect our own guilt, shame, unworthiness, and helplessness rather than working with it, taking responsibility for it, and organizing to build collective power that might move us toward actual liberation. Healing from mistress syndrome means locating the sources of our insecurities, addressing our fragile egos by loving and nurturing ourselves, and working through our urge to put on capes of white saviorism. In our run to help others, we are neglecting this self-work and neglecting the way our well-being is interconnected to the well-being of others. We white women absolutely have a role in making change happen. But to be effective, that role won't come from the glamour of individual celebrity or from approaches meant to shore up our egos. It won't come from white saviorism. It will come from attuning to the vast networks of communities already organizing. It will emerge when we begin to tend to the part of the web that is ours to tend. It will come from organizing our own. And, as the history above shows, we white women have historically been pretty good at doing that.